Okay, so you are going to start with the buttons file. You have all of your scenes. We'll start on the first one and we'll create a new layer and we will call this one buttons. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a button that has a movie clip in the overstate. So I'm going to start and I'm just going to do insert new symbol and I'm going to call this button outdoor, whoops, if I can spell it, outdoors, because it is going to link to the outdoors scene. Okay, so that's what it's called. I'm going to click OK and I'm going to make my buttons all lowercase. And oops, I typed the word buttons. That's not what I meant. I'm going to type the word outdoors. Okay, and I am going to change the font. You can decide what font you want, but I want to use one that is a narrow font just for this one. So I'm just going to use that. And I'm going to increase the size to 20 and I'm going to go ahead and leave the color at, I'm going to put it at black because we have different colors on every scene. I'm not sure what's going to work best. So I'm going to do a glow on it as well. And I'll give it a white glow, which you won't be able to see here. Okay, I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to take that white glow off of there. I'll take it off of there. And I am going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to add the glow to this one. There. And I'm going to make sure that that's working correctly. There we go. Okay. And I'll insert a keyframe here. And then remember that the hit state, the whole purpose of a hit state is so that you define the clickable area. So I am simply putting a rectangle over that text. That's all that that means. Okay. Otherwise, we would have to click on the thin lines of the font. So I'm going to go back to the outdoor scene and I want to go ahead and go to my library and I'm going to pull that outdoors onto my stage and I'm going to put it right here. Now I'm not done with this particular button yet though. So I'm going to double click and go inside of it and I'm going to create a new layer and in the overstate I'm going to insert a keyframe, F6, and I'm going to create a circle that has no fill and has a black stroke. And I'm going to zoom way in for this. I'm going to put this circle over the O. And I'm going to go ahead and make it big for now because I'm going to change it. Okay, I'll make it right about there. And I'm going to convert this to a symbol. And this is going to be a movie clip. Okay, and then I'm going to go into that movie clip. And I am going to have to convert that to a symbol. And so I'm just going to call this graphic circle. And make it a graphic. There we go. Now what I want is for this circle to grow and shrink. So I'm going to put a motion tween on it. And I am going to, in 1 second, it is going to be small, very small, right about there. Okay, and that's what it does. So now if I go back to this and if I just do a test scene and I mouse over it, I have that circle and it's shrinking. I'd actually like that circle instead to grow. So I'm going to go into my library and go to the circle, and I'm going to select all those, and I am going to right click and reverse keyframes. So now instead of it starting big, it's going to start small and then grow. Let me test scene again. There, I like that one better. Okay, so now we have one button done, and with one button done, I can right click and I can duplicate, and then I can call the next one school. And if I go into the school button, what I'm going to need to do is go to the layer that has the text and school, and I have to change it on every one. And notice I'm not moving anything, all I'm doing is changing the text. And then I'm going to go to the overstate where the circle is, and it still looks like it's in the right place. So I'm good with that, and I'll drag school onto the stage. Then I can duplicate that, and this one will be called home. And I can double click on home, and again I'm going to have to change the text on each of the keyframes, including the hit state, just to be consistent. And then I will double check, and the little circle is in the right spot, so I'm going to drag home on. And then finally I will duplicate and make the hobby button. And whoops, I kind of did that out of the normal order, but that's fine. Hobby. And make sure you go to each state and change it. And then I'll go back and just double check and make sure the circle's in the right place, and it is. And then I'm going to use my align panel right there, so that I can align these along the, oops, I didn't mean distribute, along the top edge. And right here it says to stage, which I didn't actually mean. So I'm going to bump that down a little bit. Now I can distribute, so it's got a, it's actually distributing the little registration point, which I don't like. So I'm actually going to have to, there we go, use the space right there. So now that you have them in the right place, we can select that buttons layer, right click and choose copy frames, and we'll go to each scene, create a new layer, right click, and actually I want to select all of them, so I'm going to click on the layer and then right click and paste frames. That way it doesn't extend the frames out too long. Oops, and paste frames here, and paste frames there. And that way I have them in the same place on every scene. Now, because my clock was in the middle, I'm going to adjust where two of these are on this scene. And if you have any scenes that are like that, then you might want to do the same. And I'm just using my shift and my arrow keys to do that. Okay, so now I have my buttons on every single scene, and in the next video you will go in and put the action script on them.